is our Michael Richardson, who's here to talk to us about a new bill introduced by U.S. Representative Pete Sessions that is aimed at combating identity fraud. So, Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Leo. How are you?
I'm doing pretty
It's a bit
good.
colder out today now,
It
isn't it?
is colder out today, but I prefer it that way.
That's
But
fair.
yeah, I know you're from New England, so you're probably used to stuff that's much colder here.
I am, but also I like my 70-degree weather. And
Yeah,
when I don't have it, I'm sad.
all right.
So
Well, fair enough. You don't have to wait too long, at least according to our Emily
tomorrow should be
Edwards.
nice.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into this bill. Pete Sessions, representing the 17th District, Waco, also covering some parts of East Texas. He introduced this bill to combat identity fraud. So what's in this piece of legislation?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. What this legislation does, or it aims to do, is to provide grants to states to innovate in terms of their identity fraud protections. That's the big thing. It wants to provide grants to those states. The exact amount, though, is unclear at the moment. This bill was recently introduced. It has not been voted on yet in the House or the Senate. But I was able to speak with Congressman Pete Sessions, as well as a data evidence expert here in Tyler, Tim McLamy, about their thoughts on the bill. And you're about to hear from Congressman Sessions sort of about, a bit more background on why exactly he introduced this.
This bill sounds to me like your aim is to create a government standard regarding identity theft. Is that correct?
It is to have a nationwide standard that we believe could be employed to where people would understand what we're doing and it would be intended to hit the mark so that industry would know what the standards are and law enforcement would know those standards too.
What are your, just talking to you right now, what do you think those standards, should be?
Well, I think the standards have to include an understanding that we've got to get away from social security numbers. We have for a long period of time used the social security number as an identifier. But in fact, over time, as we have learned, fewer and fewer people actually still have that same social security number. There are a lot of people with multiple social security numbers. We need to go to a new standardization. And it's easy to see and say that maybe you would go to something might be a driver's license number that is already provided to you. Perhaps we would go to a phone number, an area code and a phone number. But all of these things are very easily manipulated by others too. So if you, as soon as you go to one and land on it, it all has its frailties.
Do you think this bill would be a foolproof solution, though, to identity fraud? Could other people find out another way to steal others' data, even if the provisions of this are passed?
Well, there's no way to make it perfect, but there is a way to make it better and easier. And I think that if we all understood that if we put our heads together, all of us are smarter than any one of us or any one group of us. But also, we're trying to work this on a bipartisan basis. We don't want this to be something that half the country would see as a wrong answer. We'd like to make it an answer for everyone.
And as our Michael Richardson said, we're going to hear now from a digital evidence expert, Tim McLeamy, who is from Tyler, and we're going to get his input on this bill. What's he think about it?
In my opinion, this bill here, it has a lot of positive things to it. However, it also has the ability to eventually be abused by our own government. And I do not know anyone that trusts our government. We all love our country, but few of us trust our government. So with that said, if the electronic bill is done in the way that it looks like it is, they're going to want the individual states to work under a grant system, and then each state have everyone get an electronic ID. If it was for, voter ID, which we all pretty much support, everyone I know supports voter ID, that would be one thing. But the way that I read and interpreted the bill, it's my opinion that it has some very good things in the very front end, but what's to say in a few years from now, if each state has electronic ID, that the United States government's not going to come in and say, now we want all the electronic ID information of all the citizens, and it be used as a tracking mechanism. So I know a lot of Americans are concerned about being tracked, and I know we have the concerns about voter ID. Should we have a compromise? We should, but who trusts the United States government? Very few of us do. So what are they actually going to eventually do with it if you have electronic ID? We're almost to Flash Gordon type era, which I never thought we'd see. Growing up, I watched Flash Gordon, but you never realized, hey, we would be there. If you use electronic IDs, you might as well go all the way to our feds and do a chip insert in your hand, and now everything about you is embedded in your body. You're really only one step away from that whenever you start doing electronic IDs, because then you can do electronic medical, you can do everything, and then where are we at? You walk up to someone and they scan the palm of your hand. I don't think a lot of Americans are going to go for that. I personally have problems with that myself.